This program today, Meenakshi Balan. Here, as well as those of you who are on Zoom, pronounced as well, and all the teachers here and everybody else. We shall now begin sharing of memories by various speakers. I will call their names and request them to come on stage, and they can share their message. These messages, as well as the entire program, is being recorded for the families' memories. I should now call on Sharmaji, who was the architect of Chinmaya for a long time, now in Cleveland, was flown down here to share his memories of Balan.
Hari Om. I'd like to spend a few minutes sharing my experiences with Balanji. It's been very difficult for me. By God's grace, I have been associated with Balanji for a long time, and the last year or so, I have been in constant touch with him. And if at all we can praise somebody, Balanji is one who is truly praiseworthy. I have known him for over 30 plus years. And I have worked with him in various capacities. And he is one who really fits in the definition of a karma yogi. போற்றுவார் போற்றலும் தூற்றுவார் தூற்றலும் போகட்டும் கண்ணனுக்கே. Whether it is praise or blame, let it be the Lord's. He truly worked in that spirit. He had enough blame based on him. And that includes me. I was constantly on his case. But he appreciated that. He wanted that. And we had that kind of a relationship. It's not always hunky-dory, lovey-dovey. No. We would have trustee meetings. If the meeting minutes didn't show up, 5 days, 6 days, I would be the only one calling him. Mama, Navarli Anushya, Urvarache. And he always used to send me the draft. You eyesight, I'm getting up in age, I keep forgetting. Tell me if I missed anything. Like that, we had our disagreements. Of course we did. Everyone does. And we were able to talk it over. At the end of the day, there were no hard feelings. I appreciated his different point of view, and he appreciated my point of view, and we could find a common ground for the purpose of the mission. Such a good listener. Such a good listener. He was so pleasant, even in disagreement. That is the beauty. Of course, he was a career diplomat. So he had his training also. Ever pleasant. And that doesn't mean he compromised his principles. No. He was a fighter. He was a fighter. In body and principle. He has had so many bouts. Cancer. How many years he's fought? So physically also he was a fighter. And he would do what is right for the mission. Most of my interaction has been with that, and in that process, I got to know him personally, his entire family. He used to go to India for the winter months. I used to go around the same time, so we will meet up there. Okay. In that way, I got to see, other members of the family who were in India. And he was tech savvy. He was way ahead. He was many years older than I am. I'm always surprised that how he always got everything. he had such a relationship with the tech support at Dell and others. They used to call him. He used to have, he used to tell me, I was with the tech support for 2 hours today, finally got this problem solved. I don't have that kind of patience. Those of you who know me know that I have a short fuse. But he was not that way. No, not at all. He has infinite patience, I tell you. Infinite patience. He was dedicated to the mission. He was dedicated to the family. He always used to talk about my brother this, my niece this, my nephew that. He has done so much for them also. He was the eldest in his, so a lot of others came to this country after that, and he has helped them out. So like that. So like I said, he truly deserves the praise and credit. Every word he was going to listen today. Absolutely true. Very true. There are people who praise, but they have a dagger behind them. Not him. No. If he has to say something that is not pleasant, he will say that to you very pleasantly. Those are the kinds of teachers that I learned to love and learn from him. Learn from him. I shared this with Swamiji the other day. He was like an elder brother to me. My oldest brother was about 3 years younger than him. So I always looked to him as my eldest brother. In the last year or so, I used to call him, talk to him every other week, if not every week. Sharing with Amma and Raja also. Called him the day before he passed and the day before. I couldn't talk to him. The phone calls went directly to his voicemail. I had a queasy feeling. What to do? You have to take it as it comes. So that's the way he was. That's the way he was. He was attending my classes on Zoom, but he's joined in the middle, taking a Manduki class on Saturdays. As we started talking more frequently in the last year and a half, he's telling this is what's going on. So he started attending. He attended those classes for several months. He just missed the last 6 or 7 weeks. And then I told him I'm starting another Manduki class right from the beginning, which we did last Tuesday. And he said, I want to listen right from the beginning. So in all aspects, he was a complete man. Truly, letter and spirit, he was that kind of man. And he led by example. He led by example. All of us could take so many lessons from the way he led. வையத்துள் வாழ்வாங்கு வாழ்பவன் வானுரையும் தெய்வத்துள் வைக்கப்படும். One who lives in this world as one should. He will have a place with the devas. who live in the heavens. And that's where he is. And my memories of him will never fade. Whether it is Dharma, Brahma, he had dedicated his life to that. That is Balanji. That's the memories I have, and I will always have that. Hari Om.
Thank you, Anandji. Now I invite Anil Kishorji, our CMWRC president, to say a few words.
Hari Om. Balaji was a doer. He was a man of principles, a man strong and determined, with wonderful ideas. To many of us, he was a friend, father-like figure, a teacher, a mentor, and most of all, a very calming personality who erased doubts in everybody's mind who approached him. At the last board meeting, Balaji expressed desire to step down, and all of us said, you need to stay on, because he had a vast experience. He was always giving us ideas. He was a quiet listener, but he persuaded Swamiji and the rest of us that he needed to be relieved. Perhaps he knew that he had to relieve his responsibilities, and he was not attending after that. We didn't have any board meeting after that. Balaji had many roles at CMWRC, but then mostly a sevak truly devoted to Gurudev, and one who saw CMWRC with the highest standard. He wanted that standard for all of us. And the growth of the mission, what you see now, is a testimony to this great man who we are honoring today. He will surely be missed. His memories will always be a celebration and growth of our center. We could not have reached these things without his support and his guidance that all of us got from time to time. May Lord give us all, especially Amma, the strength to bear this loss. Sevaks like Balanji are hard to find, and we are truly going to miss him. But his memories will always be with us. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Anilji. I now invite Sethuraman Kauta. Sethuramanji is the current secretary of CMWRC, and will tell you his journey about taking over the mantle of secretary from Balan.
There isn't much really to say about Balanji, because there is so much to say about Balanji. So I put together a few things here. Mainly, we are all here to celebrate his life, and he's really a special man. As I got to know him, I discovered that he's a man of stature. He's a man with a purpose. He's a man of balance. He's a man of peace, and he's a natural leader. And as Anandji said, these praise words are not meant, they really apply to him in a big way. And behind the man of such stature, there is a family that stood behind him through and through. The think all sevaks can appreciate all that goes behind the scenes, how much family helps. So Amma and Balan family, all of you, thank you so much for supporting him and for what he did for the mission. I want to share a couple of anecdotes. When our family was new to the mission, one day I approached Swamiji and I said, it'd be nice to have a newsletter. And at that time, I had some ideas for a newsletter. And so Swamiji said, sounds good. And then shortly after that, I received a phone call. And a phone call from a stranger who introduced himself as Balan from Chinmaya. And he said, so you're interested in doing a newsletter. And that led to a fairly 1 hour discussion where he was asking me who you are, where you come from, what is your interest. And it was fascinating. It sort of seared in my memory. That particular exchange, because it was an unexpected call in the middle of the day. And what it showed me was that he was methodical, he was detail-oriented, and he really cared about the mission. And I learned over time that he kept a personal connection with every sevak and kept tabs on every seva area. So that particular phone exchange was really emblematic of his approach and his care. By the time I stepped into my current role, under his stewardship, CMWRC had already had a well-established board, a well-established executive committee, distinct chapters, and chapters operations team. In other words, CMWRC was humming along. So, my job was fairly easy as a result of that. He guided me to the role just as a father would. He got me started in a simple and a small way so that I could get started. So start small and build from there. He challenged me, he cajoled me, he nurtured, he supported, he guided, and then he let me learn from my own mistakes, just as a father. So that's how I think of it. Balaji was larger than life person. It is rare to come across a person of that caliber. We all come across a lot of people over in the course of our life, but it's just one person who really stands way above everybody else. And we are all, our family, we are very blessed to have crossed paths with him. I want to end with a couple of messages from Sri Gurudev, and I think they apply to Balaji very well. Gurudev says, mission workers' joy should be in receiving with grace fire from others and convert it to light to guide all and to be service to all. And Balaji, as we all know, was subject to receiving much fire. And he worked unselfishly and diligently to convert it to light. He was a true Kabir. Another message from Sri Gurudev, rooted in love, spurred with devotion, dressed in sympathy, riding on compassion, armed with understanding, wielding the might of faith, dash on in the world of things and beings, and demand your right to save and uplift. So that is how Balaji worked. And Gurudev continues, there shall be no escape for them, but to fight their own sorrows and dance to the inward joy of fuller life. I see Balaji in every expression of Gurudev's message there. And lastly, Sri Gurudev said, the cultural leader may not even look like a hero, but his dynamism will come from the self-sufficiency within himself, from the conviction of his goal and his program to achieve it. Balaji left us a legacy of such a cultural leader. He is an inspiration to all.
our next message will be from Vilasini Balakrishnan, who is not here in person, and the message will be read by Prakash Somanji. So Vilasini ji, for those of you who do not know, is long-term devotee of Gurudev, CMW, Chinmaya Mission West Board of Directors member, as well as Board of Trustees member for CMWRC. So she sent this message. This will be followed by Prakash's own message. And Prakash, I'm sure all of you know, is our CMWRC treasurer.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Vilasini has sent her message. I'm going to read pertinent parts of that for today. She says, I'm honored to share thoughts about Balaji and his tenure in the Chinmaya Mission. I'm even more honored and fortunate to have known and worked with Balaji for decades. She also writes, many of us know Balaji in the Chinmaya Mission environment. We don't know his background because we never discussed that with many people. So Vilasini was trying to find out more about him. She inquired with many people, say that he did not share much with us about his profession, other than to say, any success he has had is all Lord's grace and not his. Actually, sir, Balaji, we had the privilege of meeting Balaji in 1986 when Vilasini started a study group in Falls Church. At that time, Suresh, Vilasini, Suresh, Limesh, and myself, Balaji, we are all in the part of that group. We used to meet every week. Balaji used to say at that time, I don't know how I can serve the mission, but one day I will. And that one day became years and years and years, long time. One of the past presidents, Sri Kumarji, recalls meeting Balan in 1988. This is a quote from Sri Kumarji. He says, when Gurudev conducted the camp in DC, I was in charge of bookstores, book sales. I used to squeeze the books into my Volkswagen Rabbit and take them back at night. On the third day, an unknown person approached me and told me that his car had a large trunk that can accommodate all the books. He introduced himself as Balan, and to prove his credibility, he said that he is part of Vilasini's study group. That was the beginning of Balanji's foray with CMWRC activities across the bridge and of a lasting friendship. If I keep on with all my memories, my fingers will wear out. Our past president also, Nanak Lahori, he recalled that Balanji's ordinary life is in itself extraordinary. I remember in our first fundraising drive, we mailed out about 800 letters. Balanji used to come from his job to my house in Chevy Chase and work till late evening before driving home to Foster. I always admired his selfless devotion to work. His organizational approach to complete every job, whether big or small, in a methodical way, is the key to his achievements. He is a true Karma Yogi, supported by Jnana and Bhakti. Of course, Balanji had that desire fulfilled to work for mission in 1990, when our first secretary, Veronica, decided to move to California. And from then on, Balanji has been secretary of the mission for a long time. Manikla also says that 108 adjectives after his name would not be enough. It would continue on and on. And Balanji says, Balanji used to say to him that whenever I do, whatever I do, all credit goes to Gurudev's teachings. Dr. D.C. Rao, he remembers that when Balanji was coordinating the national camp in 1995, what impressed him is how relaxed he was when he was a camp coordinator. Getting everybody else to do the work smoothly requires a great skill. When we found out that Balanji worked in World Bank in human resources, we understood why he was so adept in delegating and even more encouraging people to serve. Innocently writes, he said, Balanji is a great team player, a conscientious builder, and he's brilliant at consulting with many people, getting everyone's input, finding the most practical decision, and then convincing everyone else to go along with it. And I've experienced that many, many, many times. I had the privilege of working with him since 1979, when there was a camp by Gurudev in 1979. Most people may not know this, that Balanji had a very unique hobby. I don't know how many people know. When he lived in Falls Church, he was a beekeeper. That means he had hives of swarming bees in his backyard. This speaks volumes about his ability to enter into a most heated environment and come out bringing peace and harmony onto all with no bee stings. This ability can come only to people who are detached from name and fame, only from people who are truly attached to the higher values. So I'm sure his success as a karma yogi is due to his deep jnana and bhakti. Of course, all of us know Sucharitraji. Realize that much of Balanji's credit goes to her also. She has always supported all his activities, all his involvement in Chinmaya mission. All Balanji's qualities we see in Mommy also. Her loving and selfless nature is appreciated by all of us. And I've had the privilege to meet her many, many, many times when I had meetings with Balanji at his house. And also what they call the hospitality that were offered. Showered, I should say, not just offered. Vilasan used to say that many, many verses from Chinmaya, the Gita comes to her mind. And one of those that she quotes, chapter 14, verse 24. That is, Samadukka Sukha Swastha, Samaroshashmaka Anchana, Tulya Priya Priyo Dhira, Tulya Nendatma Samsprata. Which means always even-minded and facing sukha or dukkha, self-abiding, looking equally to go at gold, stone, or earth, the same towards agreeable and disagreeable experiences, always calm, and same with facing praise or blame. That was Balanji. She said Balanji never seeks name or fame in his seva. He is the most selfless, behind the scenes sevas that we have experienced. Even so, when behind the scenes, that he continued tirelessly serving CMWRC, even when he had to move to Arizona for his family emergency. But he was so much in contact by email and phone with all of us. But you never felt that you were going. So we cannot express enough about Balanji, his gratitude to us. That was Vilasanji's message. When we speak of Balanji, the thought that comes to my mind is always Hanumanji. He was like a Hanuman. Ramakaja Karibako Ato. So he was always eager to do Gurudev's work. Ramakaja Karibako Ato. Prabhu Charita Sudipiriko Rasya, he was always ready to listen to Gurudev's praises and all his stories. He worked tirelessly. I had the privilege to be with him for many occasions. As Vilasanji described, he was always calm, collected. He would take input from anybody and everybody and always come up with the most amiable conclusion of the decision. So I had many discussion meetings with him when he was there. And sometimes we used to have even heated debate, but then at the end of it, we all were with one voice, one mind. So it was a privilege to work with him. I did not know his degrees, but one degree that comes to my mind is PE. PE is a degree for the engineers, the professional engineers. That PE, in my mind, stands for precision, for P, and efficiency, for E. And Balanji had proficiency and efficiency, and everything that he did. I do miss a dear friend. His memories will always be with me. I always regard him as my elder brother, and I learned a lot from him. So my respects to him, and his memories will be with me.
And now invite Gomati Nagaraj to share her memories.
Pranams to Swamiji and all the elders. Namaskaram to Auntie. I want to share some of the personal interactions with Balanji recently. I've met Uncle and Auntie after they returned from Arizona, and in the last few years, many times. Every time I visit Uncle and Auntie, he would insist that I would have lunch with them. Every phone call he would say, Mama, come here and we can have lunch together. Uncle and Auntie know how to treat people very well, how to love, and how to trust, and most of all, how to give. When you are with them, they would make you feel you are the most important person in the world. He would really carefully listen and respond. First time when I knew Uncle was when we started working together with the annual banquet arrangements. He would spend long hours on the phone, guiding us through each and every step. Uncle would want everyone to be happy, and he would hear everybody, and he will also insist that the food should be good quality and the services should be fantastic. He worked tirelessly towards everything he did. Uncle has led us through the mega project of acquiring the land and building Chinmaya. Whenever there is disagreement and long arguments, and when we wait for him to speak, he would speak with such clarity, authority, and solve the issue in hand. His words were almost always the final say in matters. He has led us through the building committee, finance committee, and membership drive, and many, many projects. He would inspire everyone to work hard. He led us all by example. Most of all, the quality, I admired how he loves to give. One time when I visited him, there was no sweets in hand at home for him to give it to me. He opened some of the cabinets and he could not find anything. And there was only recall other cough drops. And he would pull out a handful of them and he gave it to me. He said, "Chapman, today, so Uncle has never talked about his achievements and what his contributions were to the mission. Never ever said one thing, but he did. He has truly submitted all of his actions to his Guru, and he worked selflessly. He loved talking about his family all the time, about Ranjani, Raja, and Vijay. He talked about his nieces and nephews and the grandchildren. He was very proud of them. When I visit, it's always a very, very long conversation, and he could not stop talking about them. And he was very fond of all the mission members and sevaks equally as we were all his own family. He has made a great community of friends. His dedication to Pujya Gurudev and Swamiji, I have no words to describe. He was a close friend to me, especially to me. He has had his real family and the Chinmaya family. What Uncle has achieved by loving, giving, and working so hard is what we all must try to do. I feel fortunate to get to know Uncle and Aunt. Thank you.
Now request Sham to share his thoughts and messages.
I'm fortunate to have known Balanji or Balan Mama for more than 25 years. I was a young Balvihar parent, very shy and very timid. But he would immediately come, and I don't even remember when, I think it was one of Swamiji Tejomayananda's lectures, one of the first lectures in this area. So he would talk to everybody, like newcomer or an executive committee member, with equal warm affection. And gradually, as everybody said, we all became one family. The rest is history. I have never seen him getting upset or getting stressed out, yet he got things done. He was a perfect blend of pragmatism and dispassion, because of which he was able to expand, as we all know, the service area of CMWRC from the humble single-family home in Kailash Nivas to dozens of satellite centers and study groups in Maryland and Virginia. I always used to admire his capacity to understand the minds of others. In every meeting, he would bring consensus among the participants quietly and efficiently. As you all know, Vedantins in general revel in debate or somewhat. They think it is a holy duty, because Lord Krishna has said that with Pranipatena Prati Prashnena Siryatam. So Vedantins fall at Guru's feet and immediately start questioning him. So in such a group, it's not easy to satisfactorily answer their questions, whether the questions are about Bhagavad Gita or about organizational and administrative matters. But when Balanji started speaking, both parties in any debate felt their point of view was heard and accepted. No one felt left out. That was Balanji's mastery in understanding minds of others. Perhaps his long years of professional career in international organizations gave him an opportunity to meet with peoples of all races, ethnicities, varieties of cultural backgrounds. But Balanji, because of his Vedantic heritage, defined further by the tutelage under Sri Gurudev, was able to see and feel the universal mind, the uppercase universal mind, commonly present in all humans. I would like to conclude with a Subhashitam that praises kind souls like Balanji. Manasi Vachasi Kaye Punya Piyusha Purnaha Tribhuvanam Upakara Shrenibihi Prinayantaha Paraguna Paramanun Parvati Kritya Nityam Nija Hridi Vikasantaha Santi Santaha Kiyantaha, full of pious nectar in mind, words, and body, pleasing the three worlds by endless acts of selfless service, always making a mountain of smallest of others' virtue, their heart filled with eternal joy. How many good people of such kind are there? Thank you.
Thank you, Shanti. I have been asked to introduce the family because many people may not know your extended family. So Raja has been kind enough to send me the names, so I will request them to stand when I will call their names out so that people can know. You can see. Everybody knows Sethuraman, is excuse one to Raja Balan and Balan. Raja's eldest son, and his wife, and Meenakshi location. We have Vijay, who's Arizona, still now. Ranjit, daughter who's not here, but Ranjit has 4 children, and Vijay's son, Anand, is here as well. He studies in the CLU. We have Eric, Vijay's brother-in-law. He's driven all the way from Indiana, but cello for us today. And we also have Gayatri and Shrikar will join us. Gayatri and Shrikar are Manmohan's brothers, children, and Gayatri's husband Shrikar is and Shrikar Sue. And I believe Sethuraman, which is Manmohan's second cousin, and Rama, his wife. Thank you for being here. His family. This one was speaking to Balan's brother's wife from New York. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming. Thanks to the others sending very good suggestion. So now I invite what we should now, before we have next speaker, we have a special message laid out. This was a recorded message from Sri Devi Kumar. She is the wife of one of our former presidents, Sri Kumarji, and she could not make it in person, but she sent a recorded message that will be played by Dineshji. So please listen to this. We have known Balanji for a very, very long time.
Hariyam Swamiji, Sucharitra, Raja, Vijayan, Ranjini and family. My first memory of meeting with Balanji is in the late 80s at the camp held at American University by Sri Gurudev. I remember a lean young man with large eyes, with full of enthusiasm and interest in helping with anything and everything that was needed at the campsite. After that initial meeting, we happily worked together on several projects of Chinmaya Mission. Balanji never took credit for anything he did. He always made sure to pass it on to others. But he always stayed in the background, watching over and giving positive suggestions to volunteers in his own loving way, bringing out the best in them. I think most of you will agree with me that he was always the go-to person for any suggestions or help, and he was always available to do so. Balanji was willing to go extra miles to support any activities of Chinmaya Mission. Once our Balavihar group was staging a drama and we needed additional information for a good script. Luckily, Sucharitra and Balanji were going to India during that time. During their short stay in India, he reached out to several bookstores and brought several books on the subject matter which helped us to finalize the script. We can find that kind of support only in a very rare few people. Balanji was a well-wisher of everyone. He always used to inquire about everyone in the family in all details. Once when I was out of job, he found some positions based on my qualifications and arranged interviews for me. It really touched my heart to see how much effort he took to help out my family at that time of need. Balanji's ability to console others, those who were facing with difficult situations, was commendable. There is an incident that stands out in my memory. Once over a phone conversation, I mentioned something that was bothering me at that time. An analogy he gave at that time keeps echoing in my ears even today, louder than ever. It was something like this. He said, "We all are passengers in a train. We board the train at the time of birth, and life moves on with or without our involvement. Other travelers get in with their baggage, share their time with us, making us happy or unhappy. When their destination arrives, they leave without asking for our permission. We have no control over them. We keep meeting new passengers and move on. Finally, we also disembark the train when our destination arrives, just like others did. At the end, nothing matters other than what we learn from those passengers." What a great lesson he has given me. He was like an older brother to me. I conclude my words with a verse from Bhagavad Gita, which is applicable to all of us. Lord Krishna says in chapter 2, "Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavedava na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire." Sri Gurudev's translation on this verse reads like this: "He is not born, nor does he ever die. After having been, he again ceases not to be. Unborn, eternal, changeless, and ancient, he is not killed when the body is killed." Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Sri Devi. I now invite Arvind Bhagwat, our Vedanta teacher, to give us his thoughts and memories.
theme to be spiritual and to run administration in a spiritual institute. There could be two different things. But Balanji was, in my mind, was embodiment on how to get work done. When somebody mentioned about this big trunk of Volvo car, that took me back to Mount Vernon, Puja Gurudev's camp. And he just grabbed me and then said, take this speakers from this car to some other place. And I said, here. And he handed over the keys of his car to me. And I said, but you don't know me. He said, I don't need to. You are in Puja Gurudev's camp. And to me, that was as materialistic and neat I was. Somebody was giving me these speakers and the car without even knowing my name and telling me that because you are in Puja Gurudev's camp. To me, that was a big eye-opener, and the heart that he had and trust that he had with Puja Gurudev. Puja Gurudev is to often quote inspiring lines that he used to remember with him, with Puja Gurudev, when he was at Lucknow University. Inspired by a lawyer, he once went and asked him about their rights. And the lawyer told Puja Gurudev, work like a horse and live like a hermit. Balanji showed us how to be that person.
I invite Nagraj to say a few words. Many of you may not know Nagraj just recently returned from India. A couple of years stint as the Vice Chancellor of the Chinmaya.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It was just about a year or so after we joined the mission, 2000 I think year. So I got a call from Balanji, as Sethuraman mentioned, at an unexpected time in the evening, I think sometime. And I was even surprised that he knew my name actually, because we used to come to the mission during the session as a secretary to do the announcements. That's how I knew that he's the secretary of CWRC, and I was a backbencher member. And he said to me that, Nagraj, I need your help. So I was completely taken aback a little bit. And so what he wanted me to do was to help with the ticket sales for the banquet, the annual fundraiser banquet. And I think that, I'm sure those of you who work with Balanji, as I mentioned, is such a great teacher. And among all the activities where good learning experience, I ranked this to be one of the highest learning experience actually. So many, such a beautiful way he had a way to handle it. So this was before the Eventbrite and Google Calendar and all those things. So we are doing everything manually. So my job was to keep track of it, keep track of the tickets that were handed out. And Balanji had this method, I don't know whether any of you remember this or not. So you will hand out the tickets. And and they will come back and they pay. Some people pay immediately, some people pay later, some people will never come. So it's a very beautiful experience. I really enjoyed it. And I was very tense with a lot of these things. So many tickets are out and only so many are coming back. He will say, it will be handled. This is actually out of the third person, it will be handled. And so after a while,
he was handling it obviously, and I think, and somehow the things were becoming handled. So I saw that thing, and as I was sitting here, the word that comes to my mind is Balan, balance. He's balanced, just very balanced. You cannot get him too excited, and you cannot get him, but he was very, very good. So I really enjoyed it. It was a very enjoyable experience that I had. I am so grateful that I had a chance to do that. So later on, I saw that when Chetan and I we were trying to get Yakshagana into the summer camp, and Balanji and Sucharitaji, fortunately they loved it, and they helped. And in Balanji's own words, it was very deftly handled, and it happened. And what I found very interesting is that both Balanji and Sucharitaji didn't know about Yakshagana. But the moment they say this is something that we want to do, immediately I saw that increase in that effort, and that is something to be learned. I think the moment that we say what is our objective, then increase the effort that we need to put towards it is something to be learned. So Balanji or balanced is the ideal sevak that we all can aspire to be.
I now invite Alan Sohulwar, former director of Chinmaya, to say a few words.
My memories. Though I never met, or rather, I met Balanji very minimum time whenever he used to visit Chinmaya. But I never felt that I don't know him or never met with him. So I felt like, I've been known to him for many, many years. With Gurudev's blessings, I started working with Balanji sometime early to maybe 2012 as part of my seva into my mission for IT. As earlier some of our speakers mentioned, he always worked for mission in Yajna spirit, and I'm very fortunate to be in satsang with Balanji. I used to have many long phone calls with him when he used to be in Arizona, and we used to discuss a lot. If I have to mention one thing I learned from Balanji was his communication skills. And I still, like Prakash said, he was so precise in sharing the details. Even today, I tend to follow that, but it's a big shoes to fill in. One day, Balanji visited at my home, and we were just discussing about the oral IT plan. And he asked me to give pen and paper. And as we were discussing, he started making notes, and he was writing like shorthand scripts. And I was so amazed that even in today's modern world, he was writing his notes in a shorthand, and he was so detailed. When I saw his email, he was so detailed and thorough in everything that he noted. So that was so amazing. I have many memories, of course, about Balanji, but with these loving memories. My prayers to Gurudev to give him sadgati and strength to the family. We may not see Balanji today, but he is with us in our memories. Hari Om, thank you.
Ashutoshi. Now by Richard Agarwala. She's also a current student of the school member. She's worked with Balanji for a very, very, very long time on accounting system. So she hopefully shares some very interesting stories.
When I think of Balanji, the image is one of calmness and smiling face. And somebody who just gets a yes out of you somehow. So I relate two stories, true stories, not made up by any means, where I said yes and I still today don't know how. The first one is the very first time we went to the mission building in Chinmaya. It was me, my two boys and their dad. And for some reason, the door was closed. So the person outside the door told us, you have to go back, you can't go in today. And this is when we are trying to decide whether to join mission or not. And Balanji somehow, he's coming out of Kailash Nivas. He says, come, let me talk to you. I mean, my kid's dad was furious, ready to blow up. And he says, okay, come, let's go talk in Kailash Nivas. So we go into Swamiji's office. There was no desk at that time. And I remember 4 of us sitting there on the floor. And I had no idea what Balanji said, but somehow at the end of that half an hour, we decided to join the mission. So that was one in which somehow that was a complete blow up, not joining mission. What kind of place is this? You don't let us enter the building, turn into yes, we are joining the mission. The second one was, I was in a car driving, both my boys were with me, and we were going to a zoo. And I had no idea why the traffic was so bad that day. Later only I found out this was the day when parking was free. So the crowds were extra large. And I get a call from Balanji. And I'm driving, the kids are furious, I'm furious. Anyway, and he says, I'm looking for someone who can do some data entry. And I'm like, okay, this is my list of conditions. If you agree to all of them, then I can do it. The first one is I'll do it when I can. I will not be interacting with people. You will have to send information to me and blah, 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 blah. I have no idea how long the list was. But somehow he agreed to everything on the phone itself. And soon after, she shows up with a folder like this big to say, this is what you have to do now. So those are the 2 big cases. It's only later, I mean, I'm tube-like that I am, it took me a few years to figure out what happened in all of these. But those are the things with Balanji. Somehow you just say yes, no matter what the condition you are in. And the other one is whenever, like everyone has said, whenever he called, you felt like he had all the time in the world for you, whether it was 10 p.m., 11 p.m., didn't matter. And Amma is the same way, like a couple of times when I called and she picked up instead of Balanji, she would also somehow always remember that I have 2 boys. And so was the case with Balanji. They always inquired about how everyone is doing, what the things are before they got into why the call was made. Rio.
Is Sudhita here? Now invite Sudhita Kasturi, who have many hats. It's summer. Sure. Stories about how Balanji shaped her.
Hari-Om. So I had the pleasure of meeting Mama and Mommy way back in 1994. I had just gotten engaged and moved here, knew nothing about Chinmaya Mission. And my husband Srini took us to, I don't remember if it was a Bhajan Sandhya or a study group in Falls Church that we went to. And I was just bowled over by how accepting everybody was, how loving everybody was. And we used to have a Bhajan Sandhya once a month, if I recall correctly. And as a young couple and with my wonderful cooking, everybody made sure we went home with lots of boxes of food and we ate well after every Bhajan Sandhya. So Srini definitely was not at the mercy of my cooking. In 2004, when the summer camp came to Virginia, I became a camp volunteer and served in different capacities. And in 2009, 2008, the coordinator Veena-ji had stepped down. So 2009, there was a opening for a new coordinator, and Balan-ji called me and asked me to be a coordinator. And I had 2 young boys at that time, and Srini was between jobs. And I really did not think it was the best time for me to be doing this. And I expressed my concerns, and even about me as a sevak, because I had done field trip coordination, some small stuff, but taking on the role of coordinating a summer camp was a large job. And Mama assured me that I was ready and that he was behind me, Mommy was behind me, and that they would help me make this happen. And 2009 to now, well, actually 2004 to now, I'm still with the summer camp program. And everything you see here, whether it's the yoga mats or the mats or anything, this is summer camp happening. And even through the pandemic, we had summer camp. And every year, over 200 children in CMWRC benefit from Mama and Mommy's efforts to bring summer camp to Virginia. And now it has gone, we have transferred that knowledge to multiple different centers in this area, in all over the United States. This was when we first started. We used to get paper applications, and Mama and Mommy would carefully input all of that into Excel spreadsheets so we could create our rosters and call the parents to offer Piksha and all of that. This year's theme, somebody, I think Prakashji mentioned that Balanji reminded him of Hanumanji. This year's theme, very fittingly, is Veera Hanuman for summer camp. Balanji invited us to Pranav's Upanayana, and that was the first one I had attended in the United States. I didn't know you could do an Upanayana here. Everybody went back to India to do that. And that inspired us to do our children's Upanayana here at Kailash Nivas at Chinmaya. And Mama and Mommy attended them and were there to bless both my boys. And I feel very thankful for that. My last couple of interactions, last summer, Saraswati, Lavanya, and I, we've been trying to go from before the pandemic to meet Mama and Mommy. It never worked out. Finally, everybody's vaccinations were done, everything, we were able to go. And that hospitality that so many have mentioned, we enjoyed that afternoon, spent a few hours, I think took some pictures that will be shared. And Mama walked us around the beautiful vegetable garden. And one of the things was that he did not want to leave his vegetable garden and move to Great Falls with Raja and Karpagam. And I remember all our conversations centering around the fact that Raja had a lot of land and that he would be quite okay if Mama reestablished his garden in Great Falls. And lo and behold, Mother's Day, I get a call from Mama wishing me a happy Mother's Day and telling me that he had moved, and if I knew anybody who could help him reestablish his vegetable garden in Great Falls. And he also wanted some resources because we are closer this side of doctors and things like that. And we had a wonderful conversation. And I am just so glad that we got to spend that time last summer. I had this beautiful conversation about a month ago, and the vegetable garden plans were alive and well. So our family is very blessed to have known him and Mommy. And I know as a sevak, I have grown so much because Mama taught me how to balance the different aspects of my life, of being a parent, being a spouse, being a sevak, all of that. I was homeschooling my children for a long time, how to do that. And also that no job in seva was too big or small. And he always told me, he said, if you need anything, even if it's cleaning toilets, just call me, I will take care of it. Don't ever feel that I'm not available there to support you. And that has set the tone for me, my family, and I think all the sevaks who've been involved in the camp, that any job that needs to be done, any seva that is there is important, precious, and worth doing. Hari Om.
room. So I will be the last speaker. I think beloved Swamiji will go towards the end of the program. So my words today are not really memories. I just thought about it, what I should say. I just wrote it 10 minutes before I came. They're really an offering of immense gratitude to, I think, in some ways, molded my life in the US and my life's. It's difficult to speak about the impact of Balanji on my life and probably many of yours as well. Somebody said this about Gurudev, you will only know the full magnitude of what he has accomplished many, many years after he was a physical body, right? I think some of us can say that about Balanji too. Only when the person is not there, you realize all the things that we take for granted. So I was thinking about that, and I really could feel that parallel. What I'm saying is very personal experiences. Right from the day Jaya and I moved into the DC area in 1996. It's all divine fate, right? Divine grace, I think. We got a home in Arlington without knowing really when the mission was. We knew the mission was there, but we didn't know anything. And the next week, we found out that there's a person called Balan whose 60th birthday is going to be celebrated, and it is literally 1 mile away from it. So we were so fortunate right from that day. We went there, we met Mom for the first time, along with family. And we were so right from there for the next at least 5 to 10 years, as young people without a big family, we would be there literally every week, 3-4 days. Primarily for mommy's cooking, I can be very honest. And we all have heard about the hospitality. She would never allow us to leave the evening without having dinner. So I remember the Kudu and Rasam, many times. She would say, "Some to go, some to go." And so we would be there, and of course, Mama would just be very convincingly, involve me in all the mission work slowly. And the journey started about helping mission right from those days. He was also the one who introduced us to the study group in Raju and Shobhat's house, which is another 1 mile on the other side of where we lived. So I attended Swami, went, Swami's talks right from then. It was all, really right from the day we landed. We've always looked at them as foster parents. We've known their entire family. We've been invited to all their functions. But I also would like to say that, from the mission front, after Swamiji, of course, Balan Mama was the one who has really introduced me to almost every aspect of mission administrative work. All of you have that experience. He's brought you in there, guided you, and so innumerable are the number of tasks he kind of guided me, helped me, kind of brought me into those positions. My foray into administering or organizing yajnas came from Balanji. And he started with some small ones, and then the Mahasmati camp, and then the story goes on and on. And everything, I know right now was because of his constant presence at the back. We just took it for granted. The list just is endless. His love, endurance, advice. I'm sure I'm echoing what most of you have already gone through. We worked together for over 20+ years. Started as a mentor and later became as a partner. He brought me to EDC, he brought me to trustees. The list just goes on and on. Whenever I had problems, and I had plenty, first person I would call is Balanji. Sometimes as late as 10:30 at night. Just patiently listen. You just listen, and I would just go on, like pouting on my problems, to some extent, like what Sethuraman does now with me. And at the end of it, he would just say a few words of advice, and that would just remain with me, make me so calm, and essentially, in most cases, resolve the doubts and issues I had in my mind. He taught me a very important lesson. It was once said, I cannot paraphrase it very well. He said, whenever you have a problem with somebody else, especially in administration, we have that quite a lot, and you want to complain,
he said, first ask this question, where did this problem happen and how did you in any way contribute to it? And that is a valuable experience because I realized most of the problems go away when you realize that you can give it. This was something he taught me over 15 years back. And I constantly remember that advice. Balan Mama, on the other aspect, and Mommy. Mommy is very bhakti oriented, but Mama, even though we didn't see that, we always looked at him as a Vedanta. He truly had a streak of implicit faith in God and Guru. He never said that outside, you could see it outside, but if you move with him closely, you will see that. His devotion to Gurudev was unflinching. Most of you know that as well. He never believed in these ostentatious actions, but one could see that firm belief and faith in every action. There's a very interesting thing I wanted to point out. Their Kuladeva, the deity for the family, is Sethuraman. I always suspected, I wasn't sure, I got it from Swami Mother. So the grace is so strong, I don't know how many of you realized, and I told Bala Raja the other day, the day he left his body was it was the very special day for Muruga. It's the day of the Shaka Nakshatra and the Vishwamasa. So that was the day we actually did Pradosha Puja and did it also the day of Pradosha. Swami, he knows because he attended our Puja. That evening we did the puja, next day morning we got the things. And it spans right in the middle of the thing. And guess what? The memorial service was planned with no specific thinking in mind today. And today is also Pradosha, Shani Pradosha, and it's Kritika Nakshatra. So these things just don't happen by chance. There's definitely something behind it. This was not planned, nobody looked at the Panchanga, nobody looked at that, but it so happened. So I was mentioning that I just looked today and it was really touching. I would like to conclude this message also to take a moment to thank a small group of savers who have really worked very hard to make today's program happen. We don't normally give these word of thanks, but we could not have put this program together. So I just want to mention their names. Please do not go on, but just I want you to know. Of course, Swami Dhirandas said this program is happening, the Sankalpa happening, and he has guided us in every detail, even where they want us to be placed. So we followed some of his advice. And Gomati and Sham really have done an incredible job organizing the food, they were cooking, and I can't say they're right now in the kitchen as well. So my thanks to them as well. Mukta, right from the day one, she's been, my support, wonderful ideas, and you're going to see a beautiful presentation she put together. She worked pretty much all through Thursday night, all through Friday night, it's late into night, 3 hours. So you will enjoy the wonderful presentation. So thank you with them. And our AV team as usual, Mani and Ganesh. Every time is a new experience with Zoom. We have a new sound system apparently, and whatever we've done for months now did not work, and they were here till 9 o'clock yesterday setting it up. So all of you are online now. Really thankful that this is being telecast so beautifully. Many thanks to Ganesh, Mani, and Dinesh, and of course to our Srini, who's our facility lead, for all the support. And to anybody else I forgot, my apologies. So with that, I conclude my message, and we will go to the next part of the program, which will be the Salon Salon.
to hold this time. We should have presentation of the members.
ஒன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, உரை ஒன்றும் இல்லை கண்ணா, உரையொன்றும் இல்லை கோவிந்தா, உரையொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, உரை ஒன்றும் இல்லை கண்ணா, உரையொன்றும் இல்லை கோவிந்தா. கண்ணுக்கு தெரியாமல் நிற்கின்றாய் கண்ணா, கண்ணுக்கு தெரியாமல் நின்றாலும் எனக்கு குறையொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா. வேண்டியதை தந்திட வெங்கடேசன் நின்றிருக்க, வேண்டியது வேறில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா. மணிவண்ணா மலையப்பா கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா. திரையில் பின் நிற்கின்றாய் கண்ணா, கண்ணா திரையில் பின் நிற்கின்றாய் கண்ணா. உன்னை மறையோதும் ஞானியர் மட்டுமே காண்பார். திரையில் பின் நிற்கின்றாய் கண்ணா, உன்னை மறையோதும் ஞானியர் மட்டுமே காண்பார். என்றாலும் குறையொன்றும் எனக்கில்லை கண்ணா, என்றாலும் குறையொன்றும் எனக்கில்லை கண்ணா. குன்றின் மேல் கண்ணாகி நிற்கின்ற வரதா, குன்றின் மேல் கண்ணாகி நிற்கின்ற வரதா, குறையொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, குறைவொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா. மணிவண்ணா மலையப்பா கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா. கலிநாடுக்கு இறங்கி கல்லிலே இறங்கி நிலையாக கோயிலில் நிற்கின்றாய் கேசவா. கலிநாடுக்கு இறங்கி கல்லிலே இறங்கி நிலையாக கோயிலில் நிற்கின்றாய் கேசவா. குறையொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, யாரும் மறுக்காத மலையப்பா, யாரும் மறுக்காத மலையப்பா. வாழ்வில் ஏதும் தர நிற்கும் கருணை கடல் அன்னை என்றும் இருந்திட, ஏது குறை எனக்கே என்றும் இருந்திட, ஏது குறை எனக்கே. ஒன்றும் குறையில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, ஒன்றும் குறையில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா. மணிவண்ணா மலையப்பா கோவிந்தா 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 கோவிந்தா. जय गुरुदेवं चिन्मयानन्दं प्रणमाम्यहम्. शिरसा नमाम्यहं जय गुरुदेवं चिन्मयानन्दं प्रणमाम्यहं गुरुदेवं महर्निशं जय गुरुदेवं चिन्मयानन्दं जय गुरुदेवं चिन्मयानन्दम्
मङ्गलं सद्गुरो तुभ्यं चिन्मयानन्दरूपिणे ज्ञानरूपाय शान्ताय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम् त्यक्तदेहाभिमानाय भक्तानुग्रहकारिणे तपोवनमहाराज सच्चिष्यायास्तु मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं चिन्मयानन्द मङ्गलं ज्ञानचक्षुषे मङ्गलं तत्त्वबोधाय तत्त्वनिष्ठाय मङ्गलम् सत्स्वरूपाय देवाय चित्स्वरूपाय जिष्णवे सदानन्दाय गुरवे चिन्मयानन्दमङ्गलम् गीतोपदेशबोधार्थं दृढसङ्कल्पधीमते सदा ज्ञानप्रचारार्थं नित्यसिद्धाय मङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे चिन्मयानन्द भो गुरो मुक्तिदायक सदाचार्यवरिष्ठाय सर्वदा तेस्तु मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं यतिश्रेष्ठाय मङ्गलं त्यागमूर्तये मङ्गलं ब्रह्मनिष्ठाय बोधानन्दाय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं यतिवर्याय मङ्गलं ज्ञानमूर्तये महावेदान्तसिंहाय ब्रह्मनिष्ठाय मङ्गलम् महावेदान्तसिंहाय ब्रह्मनिष्ठाय मङ्गलम्
Hope you all enjoyed that presentation. Thanks goes to both. So I would like to invite Raja to say a few words now, but I just got a text from Chinmaya, and you won't believe this. So I didn't even know this. So Balan Mama's nakshatra is Kritika nakshatra, and today is the actual 86th birthday. It's in the same month. So I told you what divine grace. Thank you.
This kind of feels like when I was part of the facility coordinator years ago. So I'm going to say Hari Om. Hari Om. Brings me back some memories. Pranam Swamiji, Anandji, it's great to see you in person. You know, we talked over the phone.
Sriji, we've been talking a lot the last few days. Balavihar teachers, some of you were teachers for our children years ago. Great to see you here. And the extended Chinmaya community, including the facility coordinators and staff behind over there. Soon after my dad had attained the Lord's Lotus feet, a couple of days after that, Swamiji had reached out and said, I want to speak with you and Amma. So we had that, that time came, we had that conversation, and he consoled us. Obviously, we were going through enormous grief. We had just completed the cremation for my father. And he mentioned a couple of things. One is, he said that, you know, if thoughts are coming of your father, right, let it come because he is around you. The other thing he kind of mentioned was the fact that he lives through not only all of us, but also his children and his grandchildren. My brother keeps reminding me of some of the mannerisms that, you know, we see, right, amongst us, within us, that is his children, as well as, more importantly, the grandchildren. You know, he was anecdotally referring to some of the mannerisms of Anand, his son, as well as, you know, his daughter, Nina, who's not here. So I want to thank, so that's one bit. The other bit was this conversation with Swamiji was going on, and then sooner or later, it kind of led up to this memorial event, okay? Again, quoting Sriji, it's probably divine intervention, but we're not really thinking about that actively, right? And he seized the moment, and he said, okay, I'm gonna clear my calendar for 25th, that is an auspicious day, right? And he said, I will talk to Sriji, and the rest is history. We are here, okay? Really would like to thank you, Swamiji, for mobilizing, and certainly, you know, Muktaji and others who have worked behind the scenes. I know Sriji was bugging me about, hey, where are the pictures? You know, we need to have them. And I was truly moved by that presentation. Korayundru Millai is one of favorite songs of my parents, right? And it's not only them, but there are also other close family friends, right? Who go back to the 1960s. You saw some pictures from Brussels, right? It's their favorite song as well. And our Dr. Meenakshi has sung that a few times, and it brings me tears every time I hear that song, you know. And as I was sharing with Muktaji on the email earlier today, I felt like my father was speaking to me in that video presentation. I truly felt like he was there with me. And seeing both of the presentations, I was in tears. And this is not something that's going to end today. It's going to go on, you know, for a while. The other bit was I was truly touched by what some of the speakers shared. You know, want to thank you all for coming and sharing your experiences. It brought back memories for us. You know, we were reluctant, at least I should speak for myself, I shouldn't speak for her for them. I was a reluctant Chinmaya mission, you know, whatever you want to call it. But once we got into it, we were all in, right? You know, my father worked behind the scenes, right? He was working on Karpagam, he was working on me, and then of course, once the children came, you know, there's no turning back, right? So they got enrolled into Balavihar, and you know, truly blessed for that experience, right? And I think I was going through some really tough times at work years ago, you know, And really some of Swamiji's teachings, particularly with Karma Yoga, right? It resonates in my mind just like it happened yesterday, right? The couple of them, one of them was the bit about Mudatma, okay, and others. But on a more serious note, right, there was also another verse in chapter 2, where he talked about interactions between Arjuna and Krishna, and that kind of came up when I was talking with my father, right, the last couple of weeks, right? Because my father was saying, did you take care of this? Did you take care of that, right? I mean, he was ill, but he was telling me, he was asking me, did you take care of this, right? Okay, I'm not going to be able to do this. And on the last day, he was telling, Swamiji, 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 this is what he was yelling, right? And then at the end, he goes like, I need to go to sleep, get out of here. And so anyway, that was our experiences. Again, thank you all from the bottom of our heart, for getting this event organized, right? And bringing out various memories, right? And we have a lot more pictures. We just weren't able to get that together. Seeing some of the Chinmaya mission pictures, I remember one event back in Chinmaya with Gurudev. I don't remember all the details, but I know that there was some ceremonies going on, some kind of a yajna, right? Of course, there was a talk as well. And truly fortunate that we were part of those experiences. So thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, everyone. Hari Om.
I want to say one of his favorite projects. So I request Sethuraman to.
And he was telling me on the day, last day, and she was looking at me, And he said, take care of your health. I'm telling you, take care of your health. Okay, why you are telling me? Just listen, take care of your health. Then afterwards, he told me, Swamiji was calling. And I told Raja, we need to talk to Swamiji. Maybe he called Gurudev, Guruji and Deenanandaji. And we know all together, you know. And then afterwards, I want to sleep. I want to just, you know, so many things they did. I tried everything for the oxygen and everything. I was so nervous, but Karpan and myself, we called that hospital, and then can I get that bed, and when we take that my husband house, and they said they'll give the rent like that, but he didn't so sure like that, you know, just he said, okay, I want to sleep, he said. Then all of a sudden, everything we tried and everything, we couldn't save him, you know. And I don't know, 62 years, we got married, and 62 years I was with him. And then he taught me everything, and she enthusiastically pushed me some to do that one. Just I was doing it for even summer camp. And he told me to do that. And the last, you know, that Masalata spring, before that we went to Gurudev, and then we were sitting there, and then he was sure, Gurudev said, show your teeth, he said. No, I cannot do that because my teeth are not good. No, show your teeth also, like that. And then he was smiling, Balaji was smiling. I couldn't open. And then Masalata spring, that Vilasaniji, she told me to take care of Gurudev, and then kitchen department also, she said. Okay, I was so nervous. I asked that Sridevi, you tell me, you teach me something. Because they, so Gurudev was from Kerala, no? And Sridevi also Kerala. And I asked her, she told me to do this, that one, like that. Then, you know, that I showed that when he was washing his clothes and everything, no dirt, nothing, Gurudev's. And even kerchief also. Then the previous day I washed it and ironed it, everything. Same thing like that. And then of course, amazing, you know, just I was stunned like that. And then one day he asked that somebody told me that he doesn't like boiled rice. Who said this? Boiled. I like boiled rice. Okay, then afterwards I went run to kitchen department. Naidu garu just give me that boiled rice package. So many things, you know, sir, happened, and then I got, I forgot to bring that letter, you know, Gurudev wrote a letter to me, Sucharitraji, and then was very, thank you very much, and then we'll meet again for 2000. But he didn't come, you know. So that's the light I just, I always remember that the last one, Hari, that Masanata spring camp, you know. And well, now that's all gone like that, you know, just but anyway, my children are here. And then the last time that Balaji said, I have two daughters. One is Karpakam and Ranjani. No, don't say the daughter, she's my daughter. He said, what to do like that?
broadcast is on. So many have mentioned Balaji with balance. He lived a balanced life. If you want to know what is a life of balance, that is Balaji. That is what. Keep your balance. And as Amma sang, I requested Amma to sing the Kshira Dishayana Narayana. And Narayana Hari Narayana. Don't expect me to sing. You have to listen to Amma, it's very difficult to sing. She used to sing that song, I used to enjoy that song. The word Narayana, you need not even open your lips to say Narayana. Close, you watch me, whether you can see my lips move or not. Without moving the lips, read my lips. Without moving my lips, Narayana will come out. Narayana, 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 Narayana. Narayana, 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 Narayana. Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Did you see my lips moving? The syllables are all such. It goes only with na 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 ra ya na. Narayana, 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 Narayana. It's almost like ventriloquism. Narayana, 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 Narayana. Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Narayana is Naranam Samuha. Means he is the totality, that universal life which enlivens every life form. That is Narayana. So one who has recognized that Narayana, realized as one's own self, the divine life, such a person can keep the balance. That was Balaji, the life of balance. He lived the life of balance. So, Dinesh, you want to play it or I should play from my Chromecast at 365? I can play. Because I prepared that. So I thought, instead of me explaining it, Gurudev himself explaining that keep your balance. He is the Gita Acharya. So Gurudev is Lord Krishna himself, and he himself explains what is a life of balance. As you are facing your challenges in life, there will be at one moment the sukha and happiness will come, another moment the sorrow will come, dukkha. Don't get yourself bobbled up and down. Both the sama and equal. Keep your composure. Keep your inner tranquility. Be balanced at all times. The joys and sorrows of the outer world, pleasure and pain, we come with them. Sukha dukkhe same kripa. Similarly, labha alabha. Sometimes there will be a profit gain, sometimes there is a loss. Labha alabha sama. Similarly, in profits and loss, in gains and losses, keep yourself balanced. Thirdly, jaya jaya, sometimes we, sometimes we.
The success should not take you out of your own balance, nor a failure destroy all your enthusiasm. They come and go. Thus, in the various changing vicissitudes of life, 3-4 examples are given. In joy and sorrow, in profit and loss, in success and failure, if you are so equipoised to balance. Although you tie, you just, and thereafter enter the field of battle. And battle for the sake of the battle. Meaning, not that you must take up your guns and go and battle. That is not, it's not a warmongering textbook. But in meaning, face your own challenge. Fight out your life battle. So that is keep your balance. The verse is that Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labham jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. Read the meaning. Let's not share it. Meaning. Below the meaning is there. Sit on the chair there.
Having made pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat the same, then engage in battle for the sake of battle, and you shall not incur sin.
So how was he balanced? This must be his secret behind. Even before you venture your work, this attitude should be even before you start the work. Sukha dukhe same kritva, labha labho same kritva, jaya jayo same kritva means you have balanced all the pairs of opposites. Even before you start the work, but we already are prejudiced with a pair. I like this and I don't like this. The raga dvesha, raga attachment, dvesha aversion. We already have that even before we start the work. And when the results come, we started with raga dvesha, with likes and dislikes. And when the results come naturally, we cannot be balanced. So even before we venture, if we can make all the pairs of opposites balanced, then enter the field of action. Tato yuddhaya yujyasva. Having made all the pairs of opposites balanced, then enter the field of action. Then when the results come, because you are already balanced before. So even after the results come, you will be balanced. You shall be balanced. That was Balaji's life. Balanced life. Even when you type Balan, balance comes. But I've seen it's not a typo. It is his nature. So even the computer field found out. So that's the glory. So a balanced life is a glorious life. And when I was doing the administration, namesake I was administrator. Naam ke vaste we say. And I only look at Balaji. And then everything will be done. So he made me Sakshi. Sakshi means just a mere witness of all the administrative activities. So that's the glory. So in that Sakshi Bhava, now I have to develop that being a witness in all activities, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, thinking, blinking, winking, all activities, I should try to be a Sakshi. You also try. So if you want to live a balanced life, this is the technique. Even before you start your work, maintain a balance with all the pairs of opposites. At the physical level, the pairs of opposites. At the emotional level, at the intellectual level, at all levels, maintaining a balance. Thereafter, enter your field of activity, your theater of activity. So when you are balanced before, actually you'll be balanced thereafter when the results come. So this is the secret of Balanji's balanced life. Thank you very much. Now we will do Gurudev's glorious 108 names. Raja, Karpagam, Meenakshi, and Amma will be sitting on the chair. There will be offering lamps. Yes, Meenakshi also. So we will all chant together all the 108 glorious names of Gurudev. In the beginning, please repeat after me. Om Hari Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So let's chant together. Om Ajaya Namaha. Om Abhyaya Namaha. Om Avinashine Namaha. Om Achintyaya Namaha. Om Aprameyaya Namaha. Om Advitiyaya Namaha. Om Aniketaya Namaha. Om Anushasana Priyaya Namaha. Om Antahsakshine Namaha. Om Antaryamine Namaha. Om Anandaya Namaha. Om Atmaswarupaya Namaha. Om Angla Bhasha Vidut नमः ॐ ईश्वराय नमः ॐ उदारहृदयाय नमः ॐ उत्साहवर्धकाय नमः ॐ एकस्मै नमः ॐ ओंकारविदे नमः ॐ करुणासागराय नमः ॐ कर्मपरायणाय नमः ॐ कालातीताय नमः ॐ कैवल्यस्वरूपाय नमः ॐ कृतात्मने नमः ॐ कृतकृत्याय नमः ॐ गीताज्ञानयज्ञप्रचारकाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ गुणातीताय नमः ॐ ग्रन्थकृते नमः ॐ चिन्मयाय नमः ॐ छिन्नसंशयाय नमः ॐ जगदात्मने नमः ॐ जगत्साक्षिणे नमः ॐ जनप्रियाय नमः ॐ जितेन्द्रियाय नमः ॐ जीवब्रह्मैक्यविदे नमः ॐ जीवन्मुक्ताय नमः ॐ जीर्णमन्दिरोद्धारकाय नमः ॐ तपोवनशिष्याय नमः ॐ तपस्विने नमः ॐ तापनाशनाय नमः ॐ तीर्थस्वरूपाय नमः ॐ तेजस्विने नमः देहातीताय नमः द्वन्द्वातीताय नमः ॐ दृढनिश्चयाय नमः ॐ धर्मसंस्थापकाय नमः धीमते नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ धैर्यप्रदाय नमः ॐ नारायणाय नमः ॐ निजानन्दाय नमः ॐ निरपेक्षाय नमः निस्पृहाय नमः ॐ निरुपमाय नमः ॐ निर्विकल्पाय नमः ॐ नित्याय नमः ॐ निरञ्जनाय नमः ॐ परमाय नमः ॐ परब्रह्मणे ॐ पावनाय नमः ॐ पावकाय नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः ॐ प्रसन्नात्मने नमः ॐ फलासक्तिरहिताय नमः ॐ बहुभक्ताय नमः ॐ बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ ब्रह्मनिष्ठाय नमः ॐ ब्रह्मपराय नमः ॐ भयनाशनाय नमः ॐ भारतगौरवाय नमः ॐ भूम्ने नमः ॐ महावाक्योपदेशकाय नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ मधुरस्वभावाय नमः ॐ मनोहराय नमः ॐ महात्मने नमः ॐ मेधाविने नमः ॐ यतात्मने नमः ॐ यज्ञकृते नमः ॐ लोकप्रसिद्धाय नमः ॐ वाग्मिने नमः ॐ विभवे नमः ॐ विनोदप्रियाय नमः ॐ विनयशीलाय नमः ॐ वीतरागाय नमः ॐ वेदान्तवेद्याय नमः शान्ताय नमः ॐ शान्तिप्रदाय नमः ॐ शास्त्रोद्धारकाय नमः ॐ शुद्धसत्त्वाय नमः ॐ श्रुतिपारगाय नमः ॐ श्रोत्रियाय नमः ॐ सन्न्यासिने नमः ॐ समबुद्धये नमः ॐ सच्चिदानन्दाय नमः ॐ सर्वहितप्रदाय चिन्तकाय नमः। ॐ सत्यसङ्कल्पाय नमः। ॐ सन्तुष्टाय नमः। ॐ साधवे नमः। ॐ सुमनसे नमः। ॐ सुहृदे नमः। ॐ स्वयं ज्योतिषे नमः। ॐ स्थितप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ क्षमाशीलाय नमः। ॐ ज्ञानमूर्तये नमः। ॐ ज्ञानयोगिने नमः। ॐ ज्ञानतृप्ताय नमः। नित्यशुद्ध बुद्ध मुक्त स्वरूपाय नमः। नित्यशुद्ध बुद्ध मुक्त स्वरूपाय नमः। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। Please come and see the Chinmaya. Take the mic. Those who want to join the singing group, please join. Please stand. Give both the mic or mic. Chinmaya
शांति समाये शरणागत की क्रांति मिटाये आपदावसंताप हरण की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की सिद्धवाणी की तपोभूमि में नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की
बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की
जय।
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। Please join us for the Mahaprasad.